because it talks about, the fact that they have to adopt reasonable procedures to maintain accuracy of your report, fair and accurate credit reporting. So you want to just look at the FCRA, like just break it down to a science, like, okay, reasonable procedures, I have a right to privacy. This information was reinserted. They have to have reasonable procedures. They didn't do reasonable procedures and make sure this item didn't reappear. They just reinserted it. And we got to remember, they're getting paid to report this information. So if I'm a scammer, like Experience, TransUnion, Equifax, I'm gonna do what I can to continue to get paid. I'm gonna continue inserting that information on there. I'm not gonna follow the laws because 99% of consumers aren't, aware of these laws. So
Yeah.
you want to look at it that way.
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah, so
that
I would I
that
would I would use that law as a foundation. You said what? Go ahead.
that also applies if it has like a different account number. Because like I was under the impression that when they reinsert it, it will need to have like the same account number.
But all that is irrelevant because we talking about reinsertion. They were supposed to do what I get what you're saying, but the main thing when I see if something is reinserted, 1681 I5B, they already violated that because you got to have the burden of proof on them to prove that they did what they were supposed to do based off of what that law says. So account number wrong, account number the same, that's irrelevant. They reinserted it and they didn't do what they were supposed to do. You get what I'm saying?
Oh. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, you could use that argument like, okay, it's a different account number and all that. It's not accurate, but that goes back to like factual disputing. And then you could also, based off of that, if you really wanted to use that argument of different account number, you could use a 1681 EB. The maximum possible accuracy law.
Yeah, yeah. Magnus.
Yeah, yeah. So you can go that route too. So it's really just how you want to tackle it. But I personally just like going off of things that I know that they didn't do or I know that they won't be able to prove that they did.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah. You got any questions, Tammy? You quiet over there.
Yeah, I actually do. Yeah, I just letting everybody get there because I'm listening, I'm taking my notes. But
Oh, okay.
I had a question as far as when it came to blocking and claiming identity theft and everything.
Yeah.
And I see it on there to where it's like, where you said that they shall block it for any information in the file to consumer in the 4 days, right? So
You're talking about 1681 C2?
yes.
Yeah.
So when it like I was like, say if I have clients to where they had a previous person working on a credit and they said, oh, I got a letter that said, oh, I claimed identity theft, even though they didn't think they had identity theft, and they got all that wiped off and it reappeared, right?
Hmm.
So is that the same? Would that still happen when you use that? I don't know how you're using that if I'm trying to put it in words. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Like, how
Go
are you
ahead.
able to use it? Because I know what you said as far as like it's alleged, like you didn't give consent of the information being on there.
You're talking about identity theft.
Yeah.
Correct. So the biggest thing I tell people as far as identity theft when we're talking about the loss, we're not the main reason people think about identity theft is okay, identity theft, identity theft. But we've got to look at it like from a legal term. Identity theft means you did not give consent to them. That's why we tend to use it in combination with the permissible purpose law, 15 USC 1681 B number 2,
Okay.
because you didn't give them written instructions and they can't prove you gave them written instructions unless they just provided some document with your fake signature, but they're not going to do all that extra stuff. So identity theft by law means no consent. That's just the simplest way to think about it. And then you have the 18 US code that talks about aggravated identity theft, 18 USC 1028A. But yeah, the simplest way for me to describe it is that identity theft by law means no consent. So you didn't consent to have that information on your report. So that law in there, 1681 C2, C-2, I don't know if you paid attention to the language. It talks about alleged identity theft as well. So it's really, it really just comes down to the simple fact that your client or whoever didn't give them written instructions to put that information on their report.
I see. So it's not like technically somebody stole your social security card and your ID and went and ran to create an account. You're saying, hey, look, it's
No.
possibly could have happened. You know what I mean? To where I want you
Yeah.
investigated in that sense.
Yeah, you're thinking about just regular identity theft. So from a consumer law perspective, a legal perspective, it means no consent. But yeah, yeah, you got to think about it differently, basically.
Right. Because it's like every time I like if I put something on there like that, then they come back like, oh, a police report, send a police report and stuff. To me,
No,
it's
no, no,
like,
no, no. We never do that because I've heard some people came to me and said like, oh, should I submit a police report and stuff? Because I heard some people are teaching to submit fake police reports when that's fraud. We're not teaching all that. We're going
right.
based off a legal definition.
I definitely understand it. It's like, but then how do I respond to that? If I sit there and say this is identity theft, like say if
Yeah.
a spouse's account appeared on the other spouse's, and just because of the address being the same, being in the same household, into where maybe being even an authorized user having access to the account, and it ended up on their credit report. And they're like, hey, you know what I mean? You have to send me a police report to say this is identity theft. It is identity theft in the same sense of
Hmm.
the fact that this is not the other spouse's account.
Yeah.
But why would I like? How do you rebuttal the fact that they're demanding a police report?
So who was this that demanded a police report?
It's a trade, a timeshare. They're
So
called Festiva.
this wasn't Experian, TransUnion, Equifax.
Well, no, actually, no. It was the actual creditor.
Okay. Did
The
you
account. Yeah.
did you dispute with Experian, TransUnion, Equifax or no?
Yes.
So what did
But
they
see,
say?
when I first did it, I before I got into consumer law, I did mostly factual disputing.
Okay,
And
that's
it is
cool.
funny because it's like it's kind of hard to do that when it only appears on one account. Like, what are you comparing it to others to say the error is in a sense?
Yeah.
So when I got to consumer law, you know what I mean, it comes to the, when the oh my gosh, I can't remember off the top of my head. I'm so new to this.
You
The
good?
finance charge and stuff like that, to
Hmm.
where all those laws, I spitball like three of them out there, and I'm
Hmm.
waiting on that. But it's just like it, it's like how do you fight that back with them if Experian and all of them keep coming back like, oh yeah, they verified it.
So Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax are basically saying the creditor that's telling you to send a police report verified it.
Yeah,
Okay, so the way I would respond to Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax, I would send them a method of verification letter. So asking them how did they verify it? Because, obviously they use the eOscar system, and I would take them back to the congressional findings section. So, the congressional findings, you got the FCRA 2 hour class, so you know what I'm talking about.
yes,
So
yep.
the
That
congressional
was the
findings, you saw what?
no, yeah, that was the first one you talked about. So yeah, I got that on the
Okay,
first
okay.
page.
Okay, yeah, yeah. Yeah, so I would take them back over there and just say the fact that consumer report agencies, their job is to make sure that they adopt a reasonable procedure. So in that method of verification letter, I would ask them like, how did they actually verify the information? Because they could say verified, but how did they verify the information? If they didn't verify the information that it was, equitable to you, the consumer, if it was fair to you, then that's, against the FCRA. And I would also do a CFPB complaint with that. And I'm gonna get into that on the next week meeting. But I would ask them how they verified it because they always say verified, but was it the computer system or was it a human being looking at my letter? And then at that point, if that didn't work, if they're still, on some BS, because it's pretty much, I guess, like 50-50 in that case. We see sometimes where, we resubmit with the CFPB complaint with the method of verification gets deleted. Sometimes you got to send additional letters. If you got to send an additional letter, I would recommend sending an affidavit to both